We're going to take a look at the repeat command. So in this spell, we're going to start by putting 1, 2, 3, and 4 into list box 1. So here's a pro tip. If you use the little pipe symbol between pieces of data when putting data into a list box, each of the pieces of data, right, that are separated by that little pipe symbol will be represented on a brand new line within the list box itself. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to put the numbers 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4 into list box 1, and that's going to appear sequentially as 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to put the number 3 into number box 1. Now, here's where this becomes relevant. We can use the repeat command in 3 different ways. We can simply put in whatever amount of times we want the loop to repeat itself by just typing in the amount, the numerical amount, right? So in this case, we're going to have Alexia BASIC, right? In this spell, we're going to repeat the following 2 times. We're going to have Alexia BASIC print ... Alexia BASIC ... Okay? So we can numerically basically define the number of times that this repeat should occur. Now, another way that we can define how many times the repeat command should occur is by utilizing a number box and the value contained within a number box. So as you may recall, right, we have 4 number boxes to use in this version of Alexia BASIC: number box 1, number box 2, number box 3, and number box 4. That's considered a user input variable. So as you can see up here at the very top of the spell, we put the number 3, right, represented as a numerical value. We put the number 3 into number box 1, and then down below here we see number box 1 being used within the repeat command to identify the number of times that the repeat command should cycle through this portion of code, which in this case is to use the print command to print ... Alexia BASIC ... right? So we're using 2 colons here essentially, right? Alexia BASIC and then 2 more colons. And so that's what's going to get printed 3 times. Why 3 times? Because look, we put 3 into number box 1, and then we're saying in this iteration of the repeat command that we want to repeat this portion of code. We want to repeat it the number of times as contained within number box 1, which as we just defined up here, it will be 3. So it'll be 3 times. And then finally, with respect to a list box, now we can define that the repeat command cycle through whatever portion of code we want to have executed the same number of times as is the list size of a particular list box. Now, what that looks like is this, right? So we look at list box 1, and then we put in some brackets, and we then include the wording list size. So what's going to happen? Let's go ahead and click the cast button. We'll see some results. And by the way, all these results will be separated by a print command that's going to print some dashes here. So let's go ahead and click on the cast button, and in the emulated computer screen window, in just about a moment here, we should see the results of this spell being cast. Okay. So everything's starting to show up. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what has been printed and see if we can make sense of it. So, all right, first and foremost, we asked that the repeat command be used as it relates to list box 1, specifically list size, right? So the list size of list box 1, that's the number of times we want this portion of code to be repeated. So we put the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4 into list box 1. So the size of that list is 4, right? Because there are 4 items in list box 1. So when we do repeat list box 1 list size times, what we're really saying is repeat this 4 times. And the number 4 again comes from the size of the list contained within list box 1. So what happens? We say print Alexia BASIC : Friday, October 13th, 2017. So that should be printed 4 times in the emulated computer screen window. And that is in fact what has happened. We see Alexia BASIC printed out 4 times with the corresponding verbiage, right? So we see here Alexia BASIC : Friday, October 13th, 2017. We see that printed 4 times. Then we see that the dash, right? These 4 little dashes have been printed as we instructed the system to do via the spell, and then we have another print command. This one is going to be defined by number box 1. So it's going to be based on the value contained within number box 1. And of course, we put the number 3 into number box 1. So essentially what this portion of code is essentially saying is that we want to repeat this portion of code 3 times. Why the number 3? Because we've indicated that it should be repeated, and then it's defined by number box 1. And of course, number box 1 has the value, the numeric value of 3 that we put into it. So number box 1, for the purpose of this spell, is basically the number 3. So we're saying repeat 3 times. What are we repeating 3 times? Print : Alexia BASIC : and then when we look over here at the emulated computer screen window, what do we see? We see that Alexia BASIC has been printed out 3 times in the corresponding format that we indicated over here in the print command. And then we have, of course, and repeat. Okay, now we have some additional dashes that are printed. And if we scroll down just a little bit here, we see the final iteration of the repeat command. And here we just simply typed in how many times we wanted the repeat command to cycle through this portion of code, and we just typed in the number 2. So we're basically saying, please repeat this twice. And what are we asking Alexia BASIC to repeat twice? We're asking Alexia BASIC to repeat the printing of the text included with this print command, which is ... Alexia BASIC ... When we look at the emulated computer screen window, we see that this has been printed twice as defined by our repeat command. It's very important that the repeat command be formatted so that it includes the word repeat, and then of course the number of times that that repetition will take place within the little brackets here, and then of course the word times, and then these 2 dashes. That is absolutely critical. If not, you will get an error that is presented by the system, and you'll be prompted down here. And I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. And then, of course, at the end of that repeat, we need to end it by having 2 dashes and then the words end repeat. So let's do a quick demo of what it looks like when we do not include the correct verbiage. So let's just, for the sake of a quick little example here, let's say we're going to repeat this loop 3 times. Let's include CLS so that we are clearing the emulated computer screen window over here on the right hand side. And what we're going to do this time is we're not going to include the word times, for example. Let's just kind of pretend we forgot. We just said, hey, repeat 3, and then we plugged this in. And in fact, let's just kind of change this to simply say hello world. And let's see now what happens. We're going to go ahead and click the cast button. We're going to cast this modified spell. And what ultimately results, and this is one of the nice things about Alexia BASIC, there is some error handling built into the system. So it says immediately error near line 2. So when we start looking at the spell and we see here that the first line is CLS, so if that's line number 1, then line number 2 would be this line, right, where it says repeat. And lo and behold, of course, we're missing the word times. So when we include that in there, it'll work. However, what if we forget to include those 2 dash marks? Let's see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and click on cast. We're going to cast this modified version of the spell. You'll see initially it does say OK down here, but then it throws that error message again. See, it's not recognizing this command. We need to include both dash marks. At this point, when we run the command, it's crucial again that we try to format this correctly. If not, we are going to get an error. We go ahead and we cast the spell, and lo and behold, we see hello world printed 3 times. So the same holds true for how we end a repeat command. If we omit either any of these 2 dashes, we omit the word end, we omit the word repeat, or there's a misspelling, it will trigger an error, which then will draw our attention right down here to the corresponding line number that we need to then address to correct the error so that our spell can be cast successfully. So this gives you a rudimentary understanding of how to use the repeat command within Alexia BASIC. Thanks for watching. Now please subscribe to our channel.